Every one of us has experienced circumstances in which a consumer has expressed their frustration by saying something to us or about us. In our roles as employees and owners of businesses, we have learned to refrain from expressing retaliation and instead respond with compassion and patience. Learning how to be emotionally intelligent and encouraging your staff to take risks and grow from learning opportunities are two things that can only help your business and personal life prosper. If you are the owner of a firm, you should learn how to do these things. In order to help you become a more emotionally intelligent leader, we have compiled a list of some of our favorite recommendations along with links to publications and insights that you may apply. Number 6. To begin, cultivate empathy. The ability to empathize is a skill that may be developed through practice and via the process of try and error. There is a correlation between a person's emotional intelligence and their skill levels. In order to cultivate empathy and engage in mindful practice, there are 4 primary areas that have been identified as potential avenues. Assuming another person's point of view or placing yourself in the position of another person can be nerve-wracking because it exposes you to vulnerability. However, it also enables you to avoid passing judgment on the other person because you may have had a similar experience in the past, which takes us to the next topic: avoiding passing judgment on others. Due to the fact that you have a tendency to be pessimistic, you can thank your amygdala for this. This one is a little bit challenging, and you do not want to diminish the suffering of another person. To disregard what a person is going through is to invalidate the pain that they are experiencing. One further essential component of empathy is the ability to identify the feelings that other people are experiencing. It is not always the case that people express their emotions verbally. In point of fact, we have a tendency to conceal it. The act of checking in with other people and acknowledging their sentiments and emotions, as well as the possibility that they are simply having a difficult day, validates those feelings and makes them feel less alone with the world. So this brings us to the last part of the equation: conveying an understanding of something. Communicate that you understand their thoughts and validate their emotions rather than reacting with phrases such as, "That's a bummer," or "at least." Number 5. Adopt an attitude of intersectionality. The concept of intersectionality refers to the myriad of ways in which the diverse aspects of an individual's personality and experiences interact with one another. Sometimes, when we meet new individuals, we have a tendency to pigeonhole and categorize them based on a single characteristic, and we do this without even being aware of it. Kimberly Crenshaw, a lawyer and campaigner for civil rights, is the one who invented the notion of intersectionality. She describes it as a lens, a prism, for seeing the way in which various forms of inequality often operate together and exacerbate each other. Understanding that not all members who appear to belong to the same group, faith, color, gender, class, occupation, have the same experiences is necessary in order for us to accept intersectionality. One way to lessen the likelihood of causing harm to oneself or to other people is to keep in mind that we are all multifaceted and complicated human beings. Today, members of communities that have been historically oppressed continue to speak out against the many different forms of oppression that have had an impact on their lives. It is our responsibility to listen to them, to sit down, to actively listen to their voices, and to develop a greater understanding in order to move forward with advocacy and change. Number 4. During times of high tension, you should learn how to communicate with your colleagues. Because of the frequency with which terrible news is reported in today's world, talking with employees during times of anxiety may feel like the same thing as interacting with other people. But it is a skill that is always present and incredibly important to practice and perfect. In spite of the fact that it is impossible to possess all of the answers, having the capacity to connect with your team or company in a manner that is genuine, open, and pragmatic and provide a sense of direction and comprehension through communication. When it comes to dealing with different kinds of crises such as community unrest, political divide, discrimination, mental health and trauma difficulties, and so on, there are a variety of interventions that can be utilized. Gain a better understanding of how to navigate through the various types of chats that are available. When preparing your company and your team for a crisis, there are a few things that are universally applicable that you should keep in mind. Some of these include establishing and maintaining an internal information center, ensuring that your emergency systems are secure, ensuring that your personnel are always up to speed, providing your management with the appropriate training and preparation, and a number of other things. Number 3. Be conscious of your own mental health as well as the mental health of others. For as long as I can remember, I have struggled with social anxiety, particularly when I am engaging in activities such as networking or meeting new people. I have a plethora of prospective talks racing through my thoughts right now. They are scripted conversations that have no chance of going wrong if I simply word them exactly the way I want them to be. Almost immediately after that, those scripts are discarded and promptly replaced again and over again, with the belief that I am a fraud and that I am not as intelligent as my contemporaries. During a time that I am engaged in a mental battle, the other people have typically already established bonds. The majority of the time, people have the impression that I am aloof, snobby, and impolite, but in truth, I am deeply focused and blaming myself for even leaving the house in the first place. A more appropriate portrayal of the situation would be terrified to speak. The fact of the issue is that the majority of us battle with our mental health, and this has an impact on both our businesses and the way we perform our jobs. Megan Bruno, a therapist and executive coach, writes in Forbes that today we have ample research to support that despite its glamorization, entrepreneurship is negatively correlated with mental health. She cites stress, social isolation, and the need to control perceptions as some of the reasons why this is the case. On top of that, business owners have higher levels of stress as a result of the increased responsibilities placed on them and the enormous personal risk that is inherent in their line of work. In addition to this, they frequently lack the financial means and resources necessary to receive appropriate mental health care and support. The stigma associated with mental health can be addressed, and there are actions that can be taken to manage your own mental health, as well as steps that can be taken to provide meaningful support to other people. The most important thing you can do for your company is to cultivate an atmosphere in which your employees can feel comfortable being themselves without fear of repercussions. The use of language that is inclusive, setting an example for others to follow, and actively listening to what others have to say are all ways to establish such an environment. Number 2, practice your ability to listen to others. When it comes to providing exceptional customer service and experiences, listening is the single most critical thing that you can do. At the end of the day, all a consumer wants is to be heard and understood, whether they are telling you a story about your product, asking questions, or even expressing a complaint. Any way, shape, or form being ignored is never a desirable circumstance. Number 1, develop a growth mentality. To have a growth mindset implies to be inquisitive and to have a strong longing for both information and development. Additionally, it means that rather than berating yourself for your shortcomings, you should look for possibilities for improvement in those blunders. If you want to cultivate a growth mindset and encourage a culture of progress within your company and team, the first step is to acknowledge that you do not have all the answers. This will help you improve both personally and professionally. Recognizing the efforts of your team and promoting more creative issue solving will help you and your team keep inspired to take chances and conquer problems. Although not every attempt at corporate innovation and growth will be successful on the first try, recognizing the efforts of your team will help you and your team stay motivated. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with your friends. And make sure to subscribe to our channel for more amazing content. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos. See you next time.